frozen up in the clouds, but I've always felt that something's missing. That was until I found you right there in the crowd. You came into my life and started a fire. You made me feel like I could touch the sky. Oh, there's nothing missing now that you're my desire. Now all I have to do is to make you mine. 'Cause I know, and you know what we could be. Like a song, like a perfect melody. Baby, don't say you don't believe in me. 'Cause you know, and I know, we're onto something good. You know, and I know, we got something good.
Welcome everybody, it's Dan Latto speaking. Hope you're well today. So we changed the camera angle. I don't know if you can even tell, quite frankly. It took me a whole half hour today sorting out camera angles. These are the important things, folks. In 2021, have you got the right camera angle? And I think we might have. Anyway, let's talk about websites, let's talk about backups, and let's talk about a little story about the exciting day I had yesterday fixing a website who had gone down. Basically, the website completely failed. It's been attacked by a virus. They got in through a security flaw in one of the plugins, and basically the whole site went down. And luckily for the client, we actually take backups, and we take ongoing backups. Now, one of the problems with taking ongoing backups is that there's no guarantee that this is actually going to work. And this is why you need to take backups, by the way, and not only take backups, but try and test them, and not only test them, but use a backup bit of software that actually works. And we're going to tell you what software we use in a few minutes. But we've done this before where we hadn't had a backup, and it was a brand new client. Their website went down. They came to us and said, "Can you fix it?" And we're like, "Well, we haven't got a backup, so how can we fix it?" So we had to go back to their host who did have a backup. And guess how much money they charged? £120 for simply restoring a backup. So luckily for this other client, we take backups. We take backups of all our client stuff. But again, as I say, there's absolutely no guarantee that just because you've taken a backup, that it's actually going to work. Now, just to clarify here, in an old in the olden days, in a different world, I actually used to sell backup and storage services, believe it or not. I've sold literally 10 million quid's worth of this stuff when I used to work for Dell. We sold into Asda, British Nuclear Fuels, Next. I mean, you know, all the big companies. And so we were selling multi-million pound storage systems and backup systems and so on. And so we're really good. We get backups. We get computer backups. We understand online backups. We understand website backups. But a backup is only as good as your ability to actually recover that backup and reinstall the damn thing. And a lot of the time, backups, I say a lot of the time, 10% of the time, backups actually do not restore. And so that can be a massive problem. So yesterday, the site went down. We got access to the site. We cleared the site. We put WordPress back on it. And then we went back and restored the backup. Only the backup system that we use, which is Updraft, highly, highly recommended, by the way. It's just a bit of a pain for us because we manage multiple sites. And we didn't pay for the upgrade on Updraft, which is fine. The only kind of downside of not paying for an upgrade when you manage quite a lot of sites, and we might probably manage, 30 or 40 sites, and we're paid now for the upgrade. But the only problem with that is that Updraft on the basic package stores all of the backups. We upload everything to Google Drive, and it stores all the backups in Google Drive, but sticks them all in the same folder. And Updraft, in its amazing braininess, decides not to call the backups anything obvious when it sticks them in one single folder. So we had to go through and guess which was the backup. Needless to say, we actually restored the wrong backup. So that was fun. So we installed a backup of somebody else's site onto the original site. So then we had to go and try and delete that. That wouldn't work. We had to FTP and go in and manually delete all the files. Honestly, this stuff is the biggest pain, and I'm quite technical, and we have technical people who work for us or degree educated, but I'm here doing it myself. And it's like, this is quite hard work. So we deleted the old backup, and then we reinstalled the new backup, and it literally took all day to do this. Now, it wasn't me sat here doing this all day at the computer, but the actual process of, downloading the backups and then uploading them, and then finding out you got the wrong one, and then deleting that one, and then downloading the actual backup, and then re-uploading that backup, that just takes a long period of time. So there's a couple of things here that I wanted to share that I think you should be doing on your website. First of all, if you're using WordPress now, and I'm only going to talk about WordPress here because that's all we use with our clients. If they're running on a different system, we won't touch their website. We'll create landing pages on a different site. We'll buy them a domain name and we'll send them to landing pages just on that domain name for marketing purposes only. We won't use their main site if they're not using WordPress. If they are using WordPress, we use a little bit of software called Updraft. If you type Updraft plus onto Google, which I've just done, it will come up, and there we go, draftplus.com. And this is a WordPress plugin. Let me also go to my WordPress. Obviously, you can't see this, by the way, and so you shouldn't, because it's top secret, because I'm logging into my website. But on here, what you want to do is, once you've installed Updraft Plus, you go to the plugin, which is usually stored under settings, at least it is on mine and the other ones that we manage. And then when you go there, the very first thing that you need to do is you need to work out where you're going to keep these backups, like where you're keeping them. That's really, really important. Just waiting for my website to get there, because you've got a couple of places that you can put them. So, for example, you can put them at Updraft. You can pay a little bit of extra money. I think it's like $9 a month, or $9 a quarter, I should say. And you can store your backups at Updraft. You can put them on Dropbox, which is what we used to do, but it used to take up all our space. You can store them on Amazon, Amazon S3. Amazon, by the way, if you don't know this, Amazon is the biggest server farm on the planet. Think about all the data that they store. It's phenomenally huge. It's called Amazon S3, so you can store it there. You need an account. A little bit complicated to set up when I did it, so we don't use that. You can use Microsoft OneDrive. You can use Google Cloud, but we actually stick everything on Google Drive. Nice and easy. You can actually get them to email the attachments to you as well, but obviously if the attachments are too big, then that email's not going to work either. But you've got a choice of places to do that. Now, as I said, on ours, because we didn't pay for the upgrade, when you stick them in a Google Drive folder, you can only stick them in one folder. So if you've got 30 different backups, and sometimes depending on the site and how often it's updated, we might actually back up that website every single day, or it might be once a week, it might be once every 2 weeks. Depends on, if it's one of our websites we've created and it's kind of going static, as in there's no updates. And often when a client has finished their time with us, we'll still back up their website just in case, because it's nice if they drop us an email going, oh my gosh, I've got a backup problem, have you got a backup? And we say yes. It makes us look really good. So that's why we do that. It just depends. We don't do it with everybody. But with Updraft, you might have like 20 or 30 different websites that are all backed up, and it's not easy to pick the right one, even though they are named. When you're restoring it, Updraft doesn't recognize the name. It just says backup on and gives you the dates. Doesn't even give you the time, so you can work it out that way. So it's very complicated. But if you do pay for the upgrade on Updraft, and it's not even that much, let's have a look. I don't know why we didn't do it. Just because every penny we spend is accounted for, and cash flows the biggest thing for us. So let me just have a look at premium. So, for example, up to 35 websites is £111, and then £66 after that. If you've just got up to 2 websites, £54, and then £32 a year. Up to 10 sites is 72 quid up front, and then you get a discount on your renewal. You see, it's £43. So it is actually worth doing. And then the only reason it's really worth doing, as far as I can see, is because then when you're backing up, you can back up each individual site into its own separate folder, which makes life so much easier. And so that's actually what we did. And I need to stop being a little bit tight sometimes, which is really hard because I'm a tight northerner, as you're probably all aware. So Google Drive folder is Updraft Plus. You have to authenticate the connection between Google Drive and Dropbox and Microsoft OneDrive, whichever one you're going to use. And then you determine what you're going to back up, plugins, themes, and uploads. And we want to back up absolutely everything. And then that's it. And then you set it up. You go to settings, files, backup schedule. How often do you want to actually back this stuff up? And as we say, it depends on how often are you updating your website. Like if you update your website once a week, then once a week's fine. If you're updating your website every day, and we are updating our website every single day, and some of the construction businesses that we own, we update those websites every single day. And the reason why we're updating every single day is because we're working on the search engine optimization right now on those websites. So we actually back up every single day, and then you can tell it how many backups should they retain. So we only retain 2 backups. So like, for example, today, it's not backed up as yet, but we've got yesterday's backup and we've got the day before's backup. If it's backing up weekly, we had last week's backup and we had the week before, but you can have 9 weeks worth of backups if that's, if that's what you want. I can't really necessarily see a reason why you would want that, other than, you might want to revert the website back to something that you did 4 weeks ago, maybe, right? But you can do that as well. And then the restore function on this is really, really easy. So if you've got a backup and that backup is held offsite, and it should be held offsite, it shouldn't be held at your house, for example. If you're backing up your servers and you're holding the backup and it's on a hard drive, I happen to have a hard drive here. If you're backing up your website onto a hard drive and you leave the house but leave the hard drive here and your house burns down, you've also lost all the data on your hard drive. So you've got to back up stuff up off-site effectively. We actually use Carbonite for backing up servers, and it's off-site. It also means, by the way, and I've done this when I was on honeymoon actually in Thailand, I needed to log in, and I always take my laptop everywhere. I'm one of those guys, take my laptop everywhere. But I needed to log in because I needed access to a financial file, and I just logged into the backup, which was pretty cool. But that's through Carbonite, something completely different. But the restore function on this is really, really easy. And in fact, all you actually have to do is install WordPress, install Updraft, click the restore, click which backup you actually want, click go, and then, within the next 20 minutes, your website is back up and running. And that's literally what we did last night. It came back up once we did actually install the right website backup, and off it went. And that was our little story of dealing with backups. Honestly, it is a lifesaver if you have a backup. If you haven't got a backup, especially on your server, so let me put this into context. I think it's a ridiculous number, okay? Like 70% of businesses that lose their data go bust within 5 years. I'll say that again because this is how important a backup is. And remember, we're talking about website backups, not server backups here. But a server backup, a business, 70% of all businesses go bust after they've lost all their data within the next 5 years. And so this is why you absolutely need to be backing up everything. This is also, by the way, why using online stuff, our spreadsheets, my financial spreadsheet, for example, is online, which is really cool. It means I can get access to it anywhere. I can even share it with other people and they can have access to exactly the same file. Whereas if I've got a file on my hard drive here and the house burns down, I've lost it unless it's on my laptop. But I also then can't share that easily with other people. So this is why using some of the cloud stuff is really good. I know there's a big move right now, like from Microsoft, to move people from a network. Like literally in the olden days, connecting networks together was really, really easy. Nowadays, it's like rocket science. And the reason is that Microsoft are trying to move everybody to OneDrive to charge you for storage, right? And I get why they do that in the business model. And to some extent, it's actually quite a good way of doing it. But you've got to work out what's going to work right for you. And what works right for us might not work out right for you. But as obviously demonstrated yesterday on the website backups, that did work. So the 2 pieces of software, one is Updraft. Pay for the upgrade if you've got more than one website. If you haven't, you don't really need the upgrade. I don't think there's nothing in there necessarily that means you need the upgrade. There's lots of fancy things you can have, but you just don't need them. And then the second one, to back up your servers and hard drives attached to servers. And by the way, you should be dumping anything on your laptop onto the server so then it gets backed up. That's a little bit of software called Carbonite. They're both cloud-based pieces of software, but that's the thing that will help you. All right, I hope that's useful for you, and we'll catch up with you tomorrow in the Property Cash Flow Show. My name's Dan Latto. Take care.